Heidi Hoging, it's Morgan time. Thank you, Edge Marquez, for the tier one sub. Look, you're my real life friend. You get me stumbling over my words, okay? That you don't get the premiere, like the best kind of, me speaking perfectly when I read out your sub. You just get me fumbling all over it. Oh my god, you're in the drive-thru again? Well, at least you'll have a snack. Okay, so we're gonna get into things. Oh, I'm excited. Today I have just water. My throat hurts like a tiny bit. It's like that kind of throat ache where your throat like just has like a tiny little tinge in the back on one side. My mom has a cough, so hopefully I'm not picking that up from her. Um, Honestly, I don't think I am because I think this is the same cough she's had for like a month straight. She just like barely ever takes any days off of work, so like she didn't like rest up enough to make it better, so it's just been there like for fucking ever. Um, let's see. Any other updates? Josie got a new box that she really likes. She likes it so much that she wouldn't even get out of it for dinner. I was in here taking a nap, and I hear, the box is like in the hallway outside of my room, and I hear, meow, and my mom goes, don't you want dinner? And then she just, no response. So, I guess she didn't want dinner. I'll probably have to give her some later. We left like half a can in the fridge for her whenever she decides she wants it, but she is so obsessed with this box. It has like a little roof. It's like a cave for her. She really likes that. And I think she likes boxes even more because our other cat does not like boxes. Oscar does not enjoy boxes, does not enjoy bags. We think he's like claustrophobic because when he was a kitten, they found him in a wall. So I think it brings up like bad memories for him or something like that. Or just some cats are weird, you know. But he's never liked, if we try to put him in any sort, the only like box or basket he likes to be in is have a like bin in my closet where I keep my pajamas. He'll get in that. Even if it's like only halfway full, he likes to lay on the pajamas and sleep in there. Which is great for me because I am mildly allergic to cats. Okay. Let's see. I'm excited to get back into this. I'm coming through really quiet. I'm usually quiet. My mic to be on the same, like I don't have it like turned down any lower than usual. Let me see. I mean, I guess I should keep talking if I want to get a sense of, but it like the levels look fine. And I haven't changed anything, so I guess I could like, hold on. I guess I could like move my chair in a little. But like, ugh. I am supposed to be quiet. That is part of it. I'm assuming you mean more quiet than usual. That would be crazy if you only just noticed now that I keep my streams quiet. Let me see. Maybe it's my mic settings. Is that anything? Is that the same? Is that different? I just kind of turned the volume on the, but I don't know if that does anything. Hold on. Uh, uh, oh no, that's I don't want to hear that. It should be the same. I don't know why it would be different all of a sudden. Slightly better? Okay, all I did was turn my, like, kind of volume up on my, hold on. I'm gonna let me turn my computer volume down. Oh my god, my computer volume's at like 70. The hell? I guess I haven't checked it in a while because I normally just use my microphone. Is that? Hold on. Hello? Is this anything? Once again, it should be. I don't know what I would have done differently than usual. I got like a little bit closer to the mic and I turned my... Maybe... Okay, hold on. Let me make sure that my mic is like plugged in all the way. Maybe I'll just unplug it and replug it and see if that helps. Hold on. Give me just a sec. Okay, let's see. Is that... I just unplugged it and replugged it. And also my computer is like really... It's like kind of... It's warm, so you can like... It's getting toasty. So you guys might be onto something. Hold on. 74%'s not that bad. Have you tried turning up the volume in your car? Oh. Okay. Is that any better at all? I could just try speaking normal volume this stream. But my mom will probably be going to bed soon, so that's maybe not the best idea. Oh, okay, it's... You think. Girly, say it with your chest. Is it better, yay or nay? It sounds louder. Okay, well then, yeah, then it is louder. Okay? Glad we figured that out. Okay, hold on. Okay. Oh yeah, but like I was saying, if I break my neck, it's because I'm drinking water. The tea that I had last time, it was like sleepy time tea, but it made my stomach hurt. In-N-Out, okay. Audrey here knows my opinion on In-N-Out. Patrick, you do not. My opinion on In-N-Out is, it's not good. But to be fair, I pretty much never eat burgers. If I'm going to a fast food place, it's for chicken nuggets. Um, I have the taste buds of a child. Um, and they don't they you know they're known for having a very simple menu, which is great for some people, not great if you want a chicken tendies like I do. Um, and their fries are like styrofoam to me. Like they're like an otherworldly substance. They're not potato. I cannot be convinced that their fries are made of potato. It doesn't make sense to me. Um, but the milkshakes are pretty good, and I will give them that. I could slurp down an In-N-Out milkshake, but that's pretty much all I'm gonna get from there. The last time I was at In-N-Out is when we had our friend from New Jersey visiting, and obviously he had never been to an In-N-Out before, so he had to experience the In-N-Out. Thank you for agreeing on me with the fries. They're just they're no okay. I know I'm gonna get flack from this because I know Audrey and she's in the chat. They're no McDonald's fries, okay? I said it, and I know you're gonna argue with me on it. But they're no Mickey D's fries, and I will not be swayed. There's no other like fast food fry that beats those to me. Okay? They've got the sauce. Okay? I don't know what else to say about them. Thank you. You're a lifesaver. And the next time that Bridezilla texts you, just turn your phone off. Chatty guy must have been due to go on break. When he tried and failed to find the witness's medical record, his datapad had the name blacked out. But I did see that they have Kadush's Executive 3. I assume that's like a tier. Yeah, more expensive than David's. It's like a payment subscription tier for insurance or something. Which means they most likely... How did you do that? You need to hold the button to get the doors to close faster. Mashing does nothing. That is not what I meant. There are many others who arrived before us. How did you get us down here so quickly? Well, I didn't do anything. It was that nurse who escorted us. Yes, but you managed to get a stranger like him to help you with so few words, so little information. I don't think you even gave him your name. Haven't you heard of the Golden Rule? Of course I have. Treat others how you would want to be treated. Wrong. Treat others how they would want to be treated. He wanted someone that he could vent to. He wanted someone to pay attention to him. And he wanted to feel appreciated, which meant he'd be eager to help given the chance. Even just reading someone's mood is quite difficult. How can you know how another person wants to be treated? There are no mind readers. No one can ever know anything about what anyone's thinking. Maybe not even themselves. Doesn't matter if they're your parent, your twin, your lover, it'll always be a gamble. That is not a very comforting sentiment. Well, I think it's fun. Only because you're good at it. How did you get good at it? Same as anything. Observation and practice. You must have been observing and practicing for a very long time then. Oh, girl, you don't even know the half of it. So we proceed down the hall, bear left, look for the 4th floor. I'm gonna open the one that says morgue on it. Oh, hey! Come on in. Don't stand out there in the cold. Wouldn't be accurate. Sorry about the chill in here, but I run a little hot. And you can see my roommates never complain. Yumi Sato, medical examiner. I'm obsessed with you already. You mean absolutely everything to me. I barely know you. Oh, good. Morgan time is back up and at 'em. Good to hear she's hanging on. Okay. Good to see she's hanging on. Occupation, medical examiner, likes accessories, reality TV, palm reading. Dislikes social media, dress codes, ebooks. Loves to make new playlists. Hey, we learned that that's also true about me last time on stream. Hates to throw out old clothes. Most proud of my weekly meal prep. Dr. Sato, just the lady I wanted to see. Though I didn't expect that I'd get to. The fact that they've assigned a medical examiner and not just some ad or junior means... Oh, you can just call me Yumi, and you're... Morgan, I represent the deceased. The deceased? Oh, the deceased. Asher D. Wait, really? That's, weird. I thought this time slot was scheduled for a group of noble PR people who... I know, weird, right? Well, what the hell do I know? Was getting tired of hosting Megs anyway. I gotta finish out typing up this report before we talk shop. But in the meantime, feel free to make yourself at home. Are all these dead bodies? One would hope so. I only meant that I'm surprised to see them stored here. It suggests a backlog, which suggests a higher murder rate than the public data would lead one to expect. Do you only examine bodies for the police, Doctor? Oh, I wish. Nah, most of my job involves confirming COD on natural deaths for insurance adjustments. Insurers who want to blame the mod for failing, mod makers who want to blame the stiff for not exercising enough. Family says the company insurance plan would pay for mods, but not a gym membership. Yeah, that whole wall there is suspected defective liver mods, suspected leaking internal bio batteries, suspected CCIC. CCIC? Climate change-induced complications. You can prove that climate change contributed to an otherwise natural death? Very, very rarely. If it can be proved, what does that mean for the family of the deceased? Plus or minus 14% on the life insurance payout? I mean, it's most of what I do, and I don't just like my job, it's just... So much of what I do just boils down to telling a bunch of cheapskates how to split the dead man's bill. It's enough to make homicide feel like a breath of fresh air. That's a lot of screens. There's got to be diminishing returns on productivity. Why do you have so many monitors, ma'am? You can't just ask someone that. God, Sarah, you can't just ask someone why they're white. Good question. Every quarter when they do inventory and budgeting, they ask me if I need anything, and I never do, so I submit a blank form. But I guess a while back there was a +1 in a spreadsheet somewhere, and no one's ever corrected it, and so, boom, I get 4 new monitors every year. Do you run out of things to use them for? Sometimes, but this year I've started running 2 dramas at once when I'm doing rote work, which helps. Watching 2 television shows at the same time helps you do rote work. Helps me use up the screens. I see. Cute. Okay, anything else? Ooh. What's this? The hospital's getting renamed? No, guess it's some other hospital that got snapped up. Hospital renamed to Think Ikaria Family. In a ribbon-cutting ceremony held uptown today, Potter Memorial Hospital was formally renamed the Northeastern Ikaria Medical Complex in, Ikaria Medical Complex in recognition of the family's incredibly generous donations over the last several years. It's the latest in a string of philanthropic why can I not pronounce that word? Efforts by the family to result in a name change after they paid for the renovations to the orchestra hall and the retrofitting of what used to be known as a scout arena. But it wasn't so long ago that the Ikaria were better known for drawing blood than donating it. Back before the 50s, they had a fearsome reputation for cutthroat business practices that had their business rivals going so far as to accuse them of involvement with organized crime. This is a PR stunt. After the founding of Renigen Medical over 25 years ago and its subsequent sale, the Ikaria have moved out of the business world and into the upper echelons of society that are sometimes mockingly referred to as the Neobility, a generation of newly minted aristocrats born from the unique and chaotic economics of the mid-21st century and the Red Decade. When asked for her opinion on those who label her family House Ikaria at the hospital's renaming ceremony, Renigen board member Mireille Ikaria had this to say: "In this country, anyone can make a name for themselves so long as they're willing to put in the work. Mock new money all you want, but the truth is that success is all about reinventing yourself, and the only ones uncomfortable with that are..." We're working hard to plan out the rest of your article, character by character. It's tough work, but we'd be able to go about it a lot faster if you'd leave a tip. Want to drop your payment info in the jar? And speaking of which, donations are open at any time if you just want to press the button. The Ikaria, I guess they weren't always in the same line of work. Now they're plastering their name wherever to get themselves a new image. All the Neobility are eager to prop up their image whenever they can. But that must go double for the Ikarias, assuming the truth about their criminal past is anywhere close to the rumors. Neobility. Derogatory slang for nouveau rich families and their networks. Slang term for the nouveau rich families that arose in the second half of the 21st century amid global economic turmoil. The name carries a negative connotation and is meant to criticize the way said families supposedly style themselves as nobility, or even as a second estate that administers global power alongside the first governments and third corporations. Users also frequently search for who are nobility families, how to marry into wealth, divine nouveau. She finishing up over there? Right, okay, so what's up? Thank you for your time, Dr. Sato. My first question would be, what was the cause of death? Oh, wow, hi there, cute android. I didn't even realize it was really cute. The skin that's remarkable. Even just looking close, you can tell. They really are warm. Still not quite human body temperature, but they've come a long way. The early gens all look flushed, felt like they were always running a fever, and they ran like it too. Even 2 years ago, the average warm android only lasted... Sorry, but the circumstances surrounding this particular case call for expediency. Right. So what can I tell you? Were you able to determine the cause of death? Well, cause of death, sure, we got that much figured out at least. Why doesn't that sound particularly reassuring? Dr. Asher died of respiratory failure. And not enough oxygen in the blood, not enough blood going to the brain. A root cause being widespread depression of the central nervous system. What would the symptoms be? What would it have looked like? Lightheadedness, followed by dizziness, then headaches, slurred speech, exhaustion. Oh god, it's spreading. Now I have it. Loss of consciousness, then finally respiratory arrest. Report shows that the EMTs tried intubation, then resuscitation through electrical stimulation repeatedly. By the time he got to the emergency room, they were desperate enough to attempt direct artificial blood oxygenation, but it was too late. And you're certain of all this? Oh, well, most of it, sweetie. Most of it? Yeah, it's turned into quite the puzzle, and I'm used to having more pieces to start with. I was surprised a man as rich and famous as him didn't have any kind of biomes, but his files show... Biomonitor. Biomonitor is a general use term for wearable technology or implanted mods that monitor or provide feedback on an individual's vital signs. Commonplace among the affluent as an additional layer of security. Biome use is relatively rare among the middle class. Some sociologists and consumer trend analysts point to anxieties about the climate, pollution, and the stresses of modern life as why adoption of biomonitors has met resistance with medium-wage earners. If one's health is already assumed to be poor, constant knowledge of its status might be considered uncomfortable. Biomonitors are also frequently employed by incarceration, probation, and workplace health initiative programs. He wasn't a viable candidate for modding. Yeah, that's right. Without that kind of first-hand tech, we don't have nearly as much data as we'd like. But he was extensively monitored from the moment the EMTs arrived. We're very certain about our conclusions. Did you find anything else unusual at his body in your examination? Cuts or bruises? No injection sites, nothing in any cavities. Nothing at all, huh? Tox screen. The police mentioned a tox screen. Yeah, that's the thing. They ran a tox screen when he first arrived, a typical diagnostic intake procedure. Based on the emergency call, they figured he must have overdosed on something, but the tox screen gave them nothing. I wonder why that could be. I wonder what that could mean. After he died, we performed the broadest screenings possible, and nothing. So, were you forced to conclude this was a natural death? I didn't give up that easy. I took blood samples and compared their makeup with what was on record in his previous medical history, and I managed to isolate a single, non-naturally occurring chemical compound that wasn't there before. Oh, what was it? Some exotic toxin from a different hemisphere? I wish. I ran it through every available database we have access to, and even a few I only sort of have access to through some friends. And not only does it not match any known poison, it doesn't even match the chemical makeup of any registered compound. So, a designer drug, huh? That seems to be the best explanation. I wonder... What the hell did you do, David? You said it didn't match any registered compound. What about compounds that aren't registered? Those friends of yours, private sector folks? Yeah, in pharmaceuticals. If one of them patented a new compound, a new drug, what would keep its formula from going on the record? In the private sector, intellectual piracy is the norm, so you're expected to protect your research aggressively. Patent first, find a use later? Yeah, a patent would have to at least describe your compound in brief, but depending on what country you file in, I've heard it may be considered prudent to keep the actual chemical makeup off the record. Smart, using international IP law as your own professional minefield. How so? Whenever you're ahead, patent as much as you can, as fast as you can, but bury the formulae so no one knows where it's safe to walk. Anybody small and ambitious comes along, finds a new drug they're excited about, you flip up your card, let them know you came up with the idea years ago, and that you'll give them a death by 1,000 court dates if they so much as blink. Wouldn't work on anyone your size or bigger. They could punch back, but for the rest of the field... Wow, you corporate lawyers are scary. I'm not a corporate lawyer. So you came up with that strategy just now? So it's possible that this poison is actually a known substance? Something that the hospital could have easily identified. I wonder if it wasn't considered a trade secret. Yes, unfortunately that is a possibility. Still, just because a drug is new, that doesn't mean it's original. Does the effect that this compound had remind you of any other drug? Maybe one that's prescription only, or a controlled substance. One you might know by another name, but with a patented structure? Sorry, sweetheart, it's a general depressant. There are a lot of drugs that have effects on the body, that have that effect on the body, and they come in all shapes and sizes from all kinds of places. If the effect was unremarkable, what about its strength? Could you estimate how much of this stuff he had in his body, all told? Not precisely, no, not without detailed knowledge on its half-life, but I guess that must have been about 20 milligrams? Is 20 milligrams a lot? Not for a medicine. So this wasn't just an overdose of something relatively harmless then. No, not if 20 mil was enough to crash his entire nervous system. Thank you, Yumi. Of course. So, you ready to view the body? We could skip it if you want. I know most people get squeamish around corpses. Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. Okay then, let's get started. right, I'll just step out for a moment to give you some privacy. Yes, please. Thank you. The last time we talked was on a Sunday. You were complaining, I remember that. It's the principle of the matter. Right, you had ordered this cheap piece of shit sculpture, something by mistake. It came damaged and you wanted to send it back for a refund. I gently reminded you how with your salary it was literally not worth your time. And I kindly offered to throw it out for you since you're having so much trouble letting go. You're only offering because you want to see how loud it sounds shattering at the bottom of my trash can. I denied it, even though you were right and it was obvious. I should have let you have that one. I thought that he would look different. But he looks exactly the same as I remember. His skin is pale, and he's very still. But his face is the same. His hair, his hands. You were expecting something more drastic? The last time I saw him, he was alive. He smiled, and he told me he would see me soon. Now he is dead. Something is gone, and I can't find the difference. I'm trying to look harder, but I think I might just not be capable of it. And I wonder why. Why I was created to not be capable. Could be an issue of skill. Or maybe it's not something that can be seen no matter how hard you look. But it's there, I guarantee it. I've seen the transition enough times to be sure that between life and death, the distinction has significance. To the dead, at the very least. You're going to smoke? Here? Now? I'll pay the fine. That's not the issue. Were you expecting me to fall to pieces? Real boys grieve in all kinds of ways, Pinocchio. And some don't grieve at all, it seems. I'm a cold woman. Sorry to disappoint. The hell? Why the hell won't this thing light? Adonai, you have your cigarette backwards. Alright, that's back into cold storage for him, so need anything else? Can you send me the chemical makeup of that compound you isolated? Sure, for what it's worth. Let me just... It's got carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen with hexagonal structures. So it's organic, but there's a number of metallic elements too. And if you had to speculate on its intended use based on what we know of its structure... I'm gonna check something real quick. I don't know that I'm smart enough to know for sure. I do... Okay, I am still on the salt and alcohol theory, but I'm also wondering if perhaps he is also on some form of antidepressants, and that was what they used to like exacerbate the effect. Because when you're on antidepressants, you're more like alcohol affects you harder. So they often say that three drinks, one drink is essentially equal to three. So I'm wondering, now I'm adding kind of that to my theory as well. And if you had to speculate on its intended use based on what we know of its structure, well, it certainly acted like a depressant. Oh, I guess it's a depressant instead of an I'm thinking backwards. But I do wonder if there's there has to be something about, the way that drugs interact, you know? Well, it certainly acted like a depressant, binding off receptor pathways and affecting the balance of neurotransmitter reuptake. Depressants are fairly rare in the designer drug scene. True, people are always looking for a higher high or a crazier trip, but a more powerful depressant will just make you fall asleep. Not much need to hit up the gray market for that kind of experience. No, there's not. I see. Thanks again. You've been extremely helpful during a very difficult time. So I wonder, okay, maybe take that out of the picture. Maybe it is just what I was initially thinking. Because alcohol generally serves as a depressant. You know? Hey, anything you need, give me a ring. That's very generous. Rockford's orders have got me on call, so I'm already getting overtime for the whole weekend. Glad to hear it. Goodbye, Yumi. And goodbye to you, Greenie. My name is Sarah. Nice to meet you, Sarah. Up on ramps and down off ramps, above skywalks and under tram lines, the buildings get progressively more polished as we head into the most economically developed part of the city. Corporate territory, national headquarters for the likes of Howe Industries, Lockcoon, Tethys, Neath. Each of them sheltering their own micro-city of employee accommodations beneath their skyscraper shadows. Whalefall, the entirety of the ocean floor coming together to feast and grow and live off the fetid, rotting fat of the leviathans that swallow generations of people by the mouthful. Weight is commonly listed, and my weight is... Do I really have to disclose that? Noble lays claim to one of the largest shadows in the city, a towering nerve center for the whole nation's android industry. It's meant to be intimidating, I'm sure, but today I'm glad that Noble keeps such a sizable physical presence here. I need answers about David and his work on Sarah. Answers I'd never get browsing the company website or speaking to a representative. Synopsis. Relationships. Girl, are you browsing fandom.wiki? There are typically trivia sections as well. Should I start there? Noble will have their guard up, of course, but even that will tell me something. Where they let me walk, who they let me talk to. History. Their efforts at performative transparency and clumsy obfuscation will... How did you know my father? What? I'm sorry, did I interrupt your brooding? No. What did you ask? My father. I know you were his friend. But what was your relationship like? Can't you just scroll through our socials? Father avoided social media. And your online presence is... not significant. You saying I don't have enough followers? Essentially. Whoa. Wow. Get roasted, I guess. We went to the same college. You studied programming. No, I studied all kinds of different things as an undergrad, but not technology. Is that a good way to prepare for law school? I mean, Elwood studied fashion and she's the best lawyer I know, so... I wasn't preparing for law school. Or anything else, really. David, though, he had talent, and he knew he wanted to do something with it. He studied programming, robotics, discrete math, cybernetics. What classes did you share, then? Business ethics. Turned into Daffy Duck. Business ethics. I was the second best student in the class, and he was the first. He was the one who asked the most questions. Not sure about his actual ranking. He found the course challenging, and I clearly didn't, despite being younger. Guess he felt burned. He'd come up to me after class to argue, and sometimes to ask for help. Father always talked about socializing like it was a chore. It was kind of you to give him a chance. What, like I was some kind of social butterfly? The belle of the ball? You weren't? Sarah, look at her. One Sunday night, he knocked on my door all panicked, saying he was in bad shape for this tech course. There was a midterm or something the next day. I couldn't make heads or tails of the material, but I did my best to at least quiz him. He wasn't satisfied, though, wanted to cram the rest of the night. Father had to cram for an undergraduate midterm? Did I say something scandalous? He's been called the founder of modern programming. Yeah, well, even founder types can have poor time management when they're 21. He was already fried by that point. Wasn't hard to tell what he was really asking for. So I went and stole a study aid for him. You stole a controlled substance just to help him with studying? No, that'd be insane. No, I just pocketed some breath mints from the common room. Told him to pinch his nose and swallow fast because the taste is so strong. You gave him a placebo. He already knew the content as good as he ever would. What he needed was to sleep. He could barely keep his eyes open by the time I got back from my daring heist. Didn't take much convincing for him to rest his eyes just until it kicked in. And the test? B+, I think. I'm surprised that father stayed close with you after that. You stole and you lied to him. I stole and lied for him. And David understood that. He was good at understanding things without me having to spell them out. But I guess that's not the kind of thing that gets passed down through programming. Anyway, we kept in touch after that. First year of grad school, he published this paper. The Turing Solution, a framework for programming adaptive linguistic heuristics. One of his advisors came up with that title. David thought it was way too cocky, but it still hasn't failed any known Turing test in the years since. Don't act like you're the one who deserves credit for that. He called me one weekend asking for advice on how to handle all the attention. Job offers, interviews, apprenticeships, invitations to immigrate. What did you tell him? I don't remember telling him anything, actually. A lot of our conversations went like that. He would talk to me about whatever personal or professional problem was stuck in his head that day, and I would nod while he wore himself out. And at the end of the conversation, he'd thank me, even though I hadn't offered a single word of advice. He took Noble's offer, and they took over his education, paid him to work on his master's during the day and attend corporate training at night. And whatever else Noble may be, they were smart enough to start listening to him early. You are referring to his one-point doctrine. Quality over quantity. Simple and elegant, just like his code. Simple and elegant, but anathema to a global corporation with supply chains designed for maximum capacity and just-in-time manufacturing. Obviously, they got over their distaste fast enough. In the span of a few years, Noble's gone from making manual labor ads for meager profit to being the world leader in intelligence as a service. I keep on thinking that Sarah's her part of the belt that's down is a scroll bar, and there's gonna be enough text that I have to scroll through it, like there is in Hey Girly sometimes. Even as he was making money hand over fist, he still kept in contact with a nobody like me. I moved to the city for my apprenticeship. He helped me put a down payment on my apartment, then made up excuses as to why he couldn't help me move boxes. So is that enough detail for you? Thoroughly convinced that he and I were, in fact, friends? I am. But Adonai, the favor that you owe him, what was it for? That's private, understand? I have zero interest in talking about it with you. Say you understand. I understand, Adonai. We will be arriving shortly. Shall I send word ahead? Just tell them that David's lawyer is here. I've been here before. Sat right here in this lobby, waiting for David to come and treat me to lunch. At least I think it was this lobby. Could have been some other floor. Could have been an entirely different building. All these corporate towers of Babel feel like interchangeable fractals to me, folding in on themselves in patterns of narcissistic paranoia. So monumental on the scale of their hubris, they needed to use non-Euclidean geometry when drawing up the blueprints. The greatest minds of each generation coming together, just to find the most expensive way to shove their heads up their asses. Adonai, is something bothering you? Just doing the math on how long we'll be kept waiting here. Apparently, someone will be here shortly. So maybe if I pass the time by glaring around the place, it'll improve my mood. So much energy, so many people, also intent. You kidding? It's Saturday, the place is half empty. But doesn't everyone work on Saturdays? All the parents do, so they don't need to find childcare on Sunday. Everyone else flips a coin, I guess. All these people, for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, what could they all possibly be doing? Making work for themselves. You can be very cynical, can't you? Yeah, I'm terrible. But that guy over there's just been jiggling his cursor for the last 20 seconds. They changed the logo again. Noble Electronics. How's it feel stepping in here? Is this some kind of religious experience for you? It's just the corporation where my father worked. Careful now or they'll burn you for heresy against the company. You said it again. The company. As if it's a proper noun. You're mimicking the employees, aren't you? So it can't obey simple orders, but it can pick up on that? Is it just a part of the corporate culture? Noble's one of the biggest corporations there is, one of the biggest there's ever been. We mere humans can't hope to escape the gravity of anything that size, no matter where you live or how far off the grid you think you are. So imagine what it's like working for them. You live in company dorms, work in company quarters. Wherever you go, that logo's above your head. You eat, sleep, and breathe on Noble's timetable, at its discretion. When you spend your whole life inside of it, Noble must feel big enough to be the only company there is. To think this is only one room. This complex is so massive that it doesn't even feel man-made. It's like it was carved out of the rock by waves, like it's always been here. That's the con. If this place was actually natural, there'd be birds everywhere. I hadn't considered that. Why aren't there birds in here? Probably because of what they do to the ones that get in. I'm kidding. Though I don't have a better explanation. Whoever comes to greet us better have a pulse and some goddamn authority. My mood's starting to sour, and if they just send me the first link in their infinite chain of corporate bureaucracy, I'll make them wish. Morgan? That's me. Hey there. Android Manufacturing Quality Control, Eastern Division. Evan Dawes. Okay, Evan Dawes. Chief Supervisor, Android Manufacturing Quality Control. Like he just said. Likes hammocks, calligraphy, pale ale. Dislikes first dates, conference calls. 5 o'clock shadow. Proud of his practice handshake. Struggles with solving captchas, hair starting to gray. Okay. Evan Dawes, he says, like it's an afterthought. What's a name compared to your place in the hierarchy? You seem familiar. Have you... I'm David's lawyer. Oh, then we must have... Apologies. Let me first say how sorry I am about his passing. You and everyone else at the company must be going through a lot right now. As if it's a proper noun. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me. You're welcome, but it's no big deal. Everyone's on the razor today, but what else is new? And compared to PR, legal right now, our workloads in QA are... Never mind. How can I assist you? Shortly before his passing, Dr. Asher began the process of registering this android. Yes, that is Unfortunately, he wasn't able to finish the job. Look at that. It's definitely custom. Gee, you think? Good thing I sought out an expert. Warm, it goes without saying. Reminds me of the A16 Premiere, if anything. The barcode is clearly printed, no visible defects. But you're right, it doesn't correspond to anything we've got on file. Well, they sent you the right man for the job. Now we just need to go to the right place. Not far, I hope? It's in the building. In the building. That could mean anything from down the hall to half a day's hike. The production line on B9 should have everything we need. You do manufacturing inside your corporate headquarters? B9's a fully functional production floor, but it was only built for demonstrative purposes. New clients make deals upstairs about how many and in what shape or size, then they come down to the basement to see how the sausage is made. They have enough money to build a fake factory just for guests? Smart! So long as you're only giving tours and not giving away company secrets. No need to worry about that. We take intellectual security very seriously around here. No kidding. There are 11 cameras on us at the moment that I can see. And who knows how many pairs of modded eyes are aimed our way. Clearly, nothing happens here without the almighty company knowing about it. So if they try to claim ignorance about anything, it's gonna piss me off. Lead the way. It really is furnished down here. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but it's pretty rare to get to see all this in person, you know? Oh, would you mind terribly if I looked around for a moment? No problem. I've got some prelim paperwork I need to handle anyway, so have at it. I better take full advantage. I'll need more than cursory knowledge if I want to figure out where Sarah came from and why David wanted me to take custody. I'm gonna take a look around. You stay put in the meantime. Adonai? Wouldn't want to lose you among the rest of the merchandise. Feels like I've seen this before. That's right, there was one in David's lab. That's the nanograde elementary manufacturer. Nanofacturer for short. Real high-quality piece of machinery, each of them built in-house by Randock Mechanics. What does it do? Nano-level flash fab. Let's see. Flash fabrication. Method of manufacturing artificial microscopic compounds that utilizes parallel nesting to assemble billions of simple structures in minutes or even seconds. Nanomachines have been around for the better part of a century, but the time and resources required for their construction through traditional means was, historically, prohibitively expensive, limiting exploration of and investment in nanotech. In the years since flash fabrication's introduction, use of and demand for nanomachines has exploded, and scientists, doctors, and product designers have found brand new niches for them across every industry. Concerns about the ecological impact of the surge in nanomachine construction have been raised, though the official stance of the Nanolife Industrial Lobbying Group has remained unwavering. Nothing that small can possibly leave that big of an ecological footprint. Basically a 3D printer for nanomachines. You ever seen Big Hero 6, Morgan? It's like that. You build nanomachines in your factories for use in your androids? The raw materials are cheap, literally elementary, so no sense in getting them shipped in. It's mostly the medical models that make use of them. Inject a couple thousand nanites into a patient's bloodstream, run diagnostics, and provide a solution. A 3D printer for nanomachines. So, what kind of ink does it use? Silicon, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, building blocks. Hey, that sounds kind of familiar. I've connected the two dots. They feed into the nanoprinter, and it assembles the machines particle by particle. Like a ribosome building structurally complex proteins out of chemically simple amino acids. Must be time-consuming. You would think, but Randolph cracked the code on parallel microfracturing. Facturing, not fracturing. Haha. The inside's crystalline, sprawling like an ant's nest. There's an ant's nest underneath my desk. They haven't gotten rid of it. Also, I said fracturing because I break my fingers in these machines daily, and they won't pay me workers' comp. I have a lot of problems, Morgan. Raw materials enter at one of the thousands of different entry points, combining and recombining at intersections. I sure feel like this company is fucking every single one of my entry points, if you know what I mean. The finished product ends up at the center and drips out in a liquid solution, just like all of the blood in my body eventually will when Noble bleeds me out to dry. Distilled nectar, swimming with millions of nanites in just 2 minutes. You know what else makes nectar? Bees. And I sure feel like a worker bee in this place. I'm depressed. Can you tell that Ash is doing the most depressed voice possible for me? Because I have eye bags for days, and there's no emotion present in my face, and I have the same haircut as the Persona 3 protagonist. He really does. He doesn't just have the same hairstyle. He has like the same. He looks like a reskin. Oh my god! Wait, hold on. I have to find a good picture for this. It's a very similar outfit too. I'm not finding a great picture for this, but god. Okay, no, I think I found a decent one. Okay. God, I love pulling up pictures. Hold on. Hold on. I'm gonna have to screenshot this real fast. Okay, hold on. Okay. Oh. That was not what I meant to do. Hold on. That's just Josie again. Okay. 40-something. Girl, I think he's in his 30s. He's graying early. I think the company has taken it all out of this man. Okay. I mean, look. Look at it. I would have gotten like the picture where he's like kind of basically like doing the same fucking pose, but I could not find that in high quality where it wasn't like super tall and like a really like skinny, very vertical image. I could not find a version where it wasn't the thinnest hot dog you've ever seen. But this is actually what happened to him after Persona 3. The ending was a lie. He was actually transported into the universe of the devil. God. I need to make, Audrey, I need to make you play Persona 3. You really need to play Persona 3. God, it's good. I miss Persona 3. Okay. Removing Minato. Nectar, it's sticky? It can be, depending on the desired output. I can't unsee it now! But the door vacuum seals while it's cooking, so don't worry. I sure feel like I'm cooking in this oven of a company. Okay, that one was really bad. I know. It's completely spill-proof. I'm not, though. Can you see the way I'm crying? What a relief. Not exactly a box of paperclips David could just have brought home from the office one day. He must have bought his own for some reason. There's something out there that caught my eye when we came in. A very familiar shade of crimson. If I squint through the glass, out on the floor, there are temperature-controlled fluid tanks. Through glass and plastic flows an eye-catching scarlet that transitions into... So you add the blood towards the end? You mean the oxidant? Yeah, relatively late in the process. Something out of place. Is it me? Androids have blood, even if it isn't officially labeled as such, but it isn't red. It's pink. Danganronpa. Sometimes milky, sometimes neon, occasionally garish, but pink. Just like in Danganronpa. I just didn't think the oxidant would be red. Oh, right. Sorry, I barely noticed at this point. The color's natural. Comes from the biomanufacturing process. That chromofuge out there removes the byproducts, the waste, the excess pigments. On Wednesdays, we wear android blood. On Wednesdays, we bleed pink. Changing it from blood red to psychopop pink. Okay, you're not even hiding the influence anymore. You're not even hiding it. It's not even... That's not a complaint. Okay. One of my favorite things to actually people about with Danganronpa is the pink blood is not a censorship thing. That is not why the blood is pink. I don't know why that got spread around, because like, I mean, like, I agree, I believed it the first time I heard about it, because I was like, I don't, you know, like, nobody told me anything else, but it always seemed kind of weird to me, because like, the whole idea that it would be censored because it was too bloody and it would have to be like rated adults only or something, like, there are so many other games out there that are that level of bloody, that are rated M. Like, Danganronpa changing the blood color from pink to red, like, there are so many other games out there that are as gory or more gory than Danganronpa. So I, like, and people being like, oh, it's because it was Japan. Yeah, you know what else was made in Japan? Resident Evil, Silent Hill, like, Jesus. Like, I don't know, like, people acting like, it always seemed like this weird thing where people act like Danganronpa was made like in a more Japan-y Japan, just because it's a visual novel, or maybe like the whole idea could have, I mean, it's not true, so why do I need to like speculate? But the reason that the blood is pink in Danganronpa is entirely for the aesthetic. It's for the psychopop aesthetic. 100 Line, which I mentioned several times before, Kodaka's newest game, is his first Danganronpa styled game he's made with entirely red blood. There's also Raincoat has pink blood, but I'm not gonna say anything else about that. Raincoat has pink blood in it. Yeah. I literally can't say anything else about Raincoat and its blood. God, Raincoat is a good game though. Please play Raincoat. I'm on my knees begging. So many people, like, everyone I hear, like, either they like, other than like the two people who I was like, I got down on my hands and knees and I was like, please play Raincoat, please, please, please. Everyone else that I know, or that I've heard from, either skipped Raincoat and just went from Danganronpa to 100 Line, or they thought Raincoat was like mid, which is wild to me. I think Raincoat is so good. There are parts of Raincoat I don't think are the best, but like, as a whole, like, as an overall picture and like the stories and the mysteries, I fucking love Raincoat. Oh my god, it's so good. And it's also extremely funny to me. Because it, like, Raincoat is, oh, I can't say it's Kodaka at its most political, because that's Akudama Drive, but it's Kodaka at his second most political. Anyways. Without that chromafuge, our android's flesh would come out looking all the wrong colors. That actually also does make me wonder how familiar the creator of this game is with Akudama Drive, because Akudama Drive is also like dystopian cyberpunk sort of aesthetic. Like, definitely reminds me of this aesthetically. So I do have to wonder if how much they know about Akudama Drive. Could be that they've seen it, could be that they know fucking nothing. Akudama Drive also has red blood, but it's not in the Danganronpa art style. They are familiar with Akudama Drive. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And I bet you're glad that that Akudama Drive was another thing that I got on my hands and knees and said, please, 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 please. Please watch Akudama Drive. That may be oh, God. Look, his color is really similar to the like thought text color, so you can't blame me. That may be true. It probably isn't, but it may be. But I have a simpler explanation. Blood is primal. The sight of it carries weight. They change the color of their product's blood so that when an android gets a bottle broken against its face, a few Akudama Drive characters were in there. Ooh, I did see recently the board that they had for the judge character who we haven't met yet. But I'm very excited to meet that judge character, seeing some of the characters that were on that board. Definitely, Audrey, if you can find the character inspiration boards for all the characters I've met so far, I would super appreciate you swinging those by me, because I would love to see the rest of them, but I don't want to get like super spoiled or anything by looking through literally the blog of the person who made it. No one bats an eye. An inhaler left out on the desk. Probably a half dozen empty ones in one of the drawers. Dawes, the inhalers, they're distributed by the company, correct? Oh, yeah, HR handles it. They personalize your dosage and prescription and update it based on performance and job fulfillment reviews. Other corporations do it the same way? Yeah, pretty much. Everyone's trying to keep pace with each other, so mine's nearly a lethal dosage. It doesn't do anything, though. Can't have your employees losing focus on the job. Could cost you who knows how much in lost efficiency. Sorry if this is insensitive, but given what happened to David, are overdoses common in the company? Yeah. Yeah, he says. Overdoses, that is, not hospitalizations or deaths. It's all pretty organized these days. These days? Man, back when I started in consulting, pretty much everyone had an embarrassing story from their first 2 years where they popped a few too many greens and missed the on-ramp. Popped greens? Yeah, it used to be pills. Green to get you going, yellow to keep you there, swallow red after brushing your teeth and get into your bunk fast. But yeah, the inhalers are a huge improvement, like going from torches to the light bulb. They sync straight to your personal biomes and adjust dosage in real time. Overdoses are way down. That's great to hear. The trainees under me don't realize how good they've got it. Kids probably won't even have to learn how to purge. I wish you could see the face I'm making in real life right now. I just started like opening and closing my mouth like a goldfish. Yeah, I think I might have a feeling what that means. Yeah, no, yeah, yeah, that's what I thought you meant. Okay, yep, okay, yeah. That's exactly what I didn't need to click that one. Part of me wants to be like, trust me, I'm familiar. Not like that. That would be, no, I'm good. Yeah, I know, right? What's being built out there? Our top of the line, brand new bestsellers, the Animate 16 Warm. Looks kind of cold out there. We keep the factory floor refrigerated. Oh, sorry, was that supposed to be a joke? I lost the ability to laugh 5 years ago. This slows the organics already tuned metabolic activity to a minimum. That explains why the room doesn't smell like rotting flesh. The flesh out there is only somewhat rotting. Slowly. I just meant I'm surprised to see metal. Oh, well, all the A16s have alloy endoskeletons. The organics are layered on later in the process. Sounds like what Sarah told me about herself. Maybe she really was the A16's prototype. But it's hard to imagine bridging the gap between her and these scattered doll parts. I get that you can grow just about anything from lax Gemini, but how do you get the synthetic and the organic to work together? Yeah, that was our first concern when R&D began work on the worm concept. The 1.0s were real skin with synthetic muscle, and it was a real horror show. Metal pulling on skin was just... Right. For 2.0, they worked backwards. Organic muscles, organic skin. But digital signals on organic hardware was a dead end. Didn't the muscles flex when you passed an electric current through them? They'd flex and unflex, sure, but that's not nearly precise enough for facial expressions. Looked like puppets strung up on live wires. We used the test footage to haze interns, actually. I still have nightmares about it. You must have figured something out. The A-16 wouldn't look out of place on the runway. I'm just realizing that if anyone is viewing this in another tab, all of that dialogue that I'm improving for this poor man Dawes. I could barely even remember his name. All the dialogue that I'm improvising for Dawes probably just sounds like it's just written. Thank you, we try. We ended up reaching out to mod companies. Well, we actually just bought out half a dozen of them, but... Right. They figured out how to get human nervous systems moving mechanical limbs decades ago. So we just needed to get a mechanical nervous system to move living limbs. Very clumsy attempts to avoid using the word human. Precision mods are slotted straight into the nervous system. They receive their input from neurotransmitters, not bioelectricity. So you had to do the opposite. Exactly. We created a synthetic neurotransmitter that our androids could use to communicate with organic flesh. Well, where did that breakthrough come from? Dr. Asher? Partly. He led the team that built the motor neurons in this analogy. They carry commands from the central nervous OS to individual muscles across the chassis. But the synthetic analog serotonin, that was actually an old brainchild from the VP of Android Futures, Helen Young. Young? Hasn't David mentioned a Dr. Young before? Sounds impressive. She's one hell of a biochemist. Or she was, I guess. Not much time for individual lab work when you get to her kind of pay grade. Have you ever seen Black Butler? That was a Black Butler reference if you didn't catch it. Except instead of butler, I said biochemist. Do you get the joke? I don't watch anime. I misunderstood my time. So Young collaborated with David on the technology that enabled warm androids. As I thought, whatever went into Sarah that makes the android so distinct, he couldn't have taken sole credit for it. Young, did he partner with her on this? What have we got on this data pad? Some kind of write-up? On the subject of Sullivan's Peak, much of our world today, and in fact much of our world's economy, is heavily influenced by the uncanny valley. The thought experiment provides a simple and easily applied explanation for the gaps we see in the otherwise wide spectrum of automated dependence that assist us in nearly every industry on the planet. There's a very simple primal truth to it. We like things that resemble the living, like cartoons and puppets and toys, and we like things that are damn near indistinguishable from the living, like whatever name Noble's latest products are being sold under. But there are deep, deep trenches between those two ends, where products are universally appalling to human sensibility. The Uncanny Valley will no doubt remain a useful tool for teaching, marketing, and design for generations to come. But already we are seeing ways in which it fails. It is becoming increasingly clear to us that the space between nearly indistinguishable and truly indistinguishable is much wider than we ever suspected. And it may not be the only part of the map that we must fear. I propose we bridge these gaps in knowledge by looking to the speculative fiction of Robert J. Sullivan, who in his most well-known work, Equal Under One Sky, described a concept which thereafter has been called Sullivan's Peak. Through the lens of his characters and their so very divided world, Sullivan demonstrated that the Uncanny Valley does in fact have its own peak on the other side, a point past which making artificial existence any more human in its features serves to make the user experience more uncomfortable, more difficult, and more fraught with moral pitfalls. Once you reach Sullivan's Peak, traveling any further only has diminishing returns. The implications of this idea are far-reaching. We will very soon reach a point at which the designers of ads can only make their creations less lifelike or less likable, a hard stopping point for technological progress. What then, we must ask? Oh, looks like you forgot to sign into this device. Drop your thumbprint below and we'll get you squared away so you can keep reading. Surprised to find reading material like that around here. Were they passing it around as a gag, or are they actually afraid of Sullivan's Peak around here? Noble must be... I mean, Morgan probably thinks this. I'm more apt to think this, though. Okay, sure, Morgan. If the peak does exist, they'll be coming up on it fast now that androids are warm. Noble's entire product line, maybe their entire industry. Oh, never mind. I guess I got it. Industry could go bottoms up if people start to think it's cruel. If Sarah's any indication of where their androids are headed, I could see some people getting uncomfortable. This seems to share some components with that coffin Sarah was napping in. If Dawes does quality assurance, is it some kind of android calibration device? It's probably what he'll use to register Sarah. Looks a little... Is Sarah tall enough for it to recognize her? All done. You ready to get the ad handled? Thanks for humoring me. Can you have it step into the scanner? As he says. Understood. Right then, what are we looking at here? Whoa. There's a lot to unpack here. We theorized that it may have been Asher's pincushion. A pincushion, huh? That would explain some of what I'm reading here. What language is that on the screen? Tess. You know, Tesseract, all Noble products, and, well, pretty much all products, period, are programmed in Tess. A programming language for modern automated dependence. Tesseract 4.6, better known as Tess, is the latest version of the Tesseract programming language, built on top of the Tenet system and utilized in industries around the globe to code the software that allows androids, robots, holograms, and more to react to their environment intelligently and with intention. At the start of the century, there was a much greater variety in the number of programming languages available with which to code. Globalization, the standard of industry procedures, and the gradual erasure of many spoken languages contributed to the loss of countless programming languages during the mid-21st century. Today, Tess is virtually unchallenged as the global lingua franca programming language. I guess that's Latin. The study and teaching of other older programming languages is mostly done for recreation, hobby, or digital archaeology. Easy to read and write, stay compliant. Now this model, what's it go by? Sarah. This Sarah model. It's got everything the 16th line has, that's for sure. Organic skin, hybrid muscles, advanced facial processing, and emoting. But there's a lot crammed in here that's still in development. Like, in the idea phases. Solar cell hair strands, decentralized redundant power, mental and physical overclocking with extended tolerances. Data storage is so large I can't... No, wow, he had to measure it using... Hell of a poker face. She's so proud of herself. Wait, decryption and signal hijacking, that's... hacking? Essentially. Does that mean it could hack its own tenants? Tenet super... Wow. Morgan, you're going crazy. A programming framework underlying the development of modern automated dependent software. All contemporary supported programming languages are built upon the Tenet system, allowing users to designate a series of inviolable priorities for their code to pursue. Oh, ugh. Hold on. Once added to a program, a tenant cannot be circumvented under any conditional circumstances, and even then, only if a tenant with higher weight supersedes it. I should also plug my phone in. Let's see. Perfect, okay. Tenets were first adopted in the field of computer sciences as a trio 3 priorities that governed how preserving human life, obeying human commands, and avoiding damage to human property should be prioritized. Since then, the number of supported tenets has ballooned to 113, most of them requested by lobbyists in the insurance industry looking to better define relative financial value. Tenets are well known for increasing the decision time lag of programs. This, combined with their engineered inflexibility, has made it such that most programmers aim for a tenet limit below 30. Originally, the one tenet that could not be removed from any program was tenet safety 0, aka tenet 0 or tenet 1. Said tenet dictated that the following program could not produce outcomes that would result in harm to a living person. After the decision reached in People versus Volstance Defense Contractors, the resulting widespread adoption of automated dependence in the military and security sectors, this is no longer required, though Tenet 0 may still be added to particularly benign or mundane software as a good luck charm, superstitious ritual, or joke. Oh, no, that's unthinkable, literally, for an ad. For an ad to break its tenets would be like you stepping into traffic or dropping a baby. I don't know, I think Morgan might do that second one. Even if you're physically capable of it, it's not something you would ever choose to do. Some people do walk into traffic, and I would drop a baby. Psychotics, addicts, the mentally ill. Does that mean that there are androids? Well, no, there aren't crazy androids, so yeah. I guess my analogy doesn't hold up. That's okay. So it can't hack itself, but it was given the ability to hack other systems. The industry line is that such a capability could be an option in certain emergency scenarios. Breaking through the firewalls and encryption of surrounding electronics to broadcast directly to police or military channels. Speaking of military, this musculoskeletal setup is drastic. I've never seen this on a consumer model. Can you lift a car or something, Sarah? Most cars. It would depend on the center of gravity. Lady, this Sarah could wrestle a public disturbance walker and come out on top. Those stomping behemoths they bring out for riot suppression? And in terms of computational ability, the estimate says that can't be right. Look, Dawes, I was actually hoping you could tell me something about the software or the metadata. Who worked on it and when? Right, okay. Well, that's unfortunate. Just like me. The editing logs have been purged. That doesn't sound very above the board. Sorry, I can't tell you anything about who worked on Sarah or when. Any chance you can restore those logs? Not here, not with this machine. I need the computers that were actually used for programming this model. Any ideas where those would be? Sarah? I cannot answer that question with any accuracy. Had a feeling you might say that. Ad's right. Sorry, I can tell you that the code is unique. There's hints of the A16 in there, a few of the same conclusions. It's just Dr. Asher or whoever took very different paths to get there. So Sarah has even less in common with every other android on the inside. Sorry, didn't expect to hit a dead end there. Not at all. You've been very helpful. Can we still get the registration done? Yeah, no problem. We've got the software and forms all set up here. Occasionally we let a new business partner bring one home fresh from the oven, you know? Oven? Gross. Alright, a few basic questions then. Who's going to be the official owner of this unit? She is. As it says, unless the will disagrees, it's my responsibility. Right then. You fine with the designation, Sarah? We can set it to anything you like. Well, actually... Never mind, Sarah will do just fine. A lady's 3 measurements. Her tenant limits her storage capacity and her computational power. Okay, this part's all standard. Civilian model, address, contact info I can get from your crumbs. Do you want to reset to factory defaults? Could clear up a lot of the quirks. Not right now. The last thing, then, is the grading. I'm reading 23 tenants here, nothing too far out of the ordinary. 23? That's higher than I expected talking with it. She seemed more malleable than that. Don't blame yourself. Guessing tenant count from outward appearances has become a crapshoot. Not like it used to be. It used to be that they only had 3 tenants total, and every unit had to have them. Then came the first accidents, and the first lawsuits, then the hearings, and the legislature. And the demand for more tenants. A tenant making sure ads couldn't endanger the state. A tenant stating the ads wouldn't divulge private information without prior consent. There was a campaign calling for a tenant to weigh child and adult lives equally during risk assessment. There was a campaign calling for a tenant to do the opposite. Companies wanted their asses covered, customers wanted guarantees. There was never much incentive to deny a requested tenant, so the list just ballooned. Until the military entered the market in full force. You sound like you don't approve. I wouldn't go that far. This is noble. I'm not allowed to have opinions. They needed their ads to be able to pull the trigger when ordered to, without clearing 5,000 lines of bloated, hard-coded decision points to get there. I get that. But since the armies are the only ones using tech with bare minimum tenets, all the best, least cluttered, most elegant code is only used for war games. It's not very romantic. Well, not like I was on the jury. Department of Advanced Defense Projects versus Zenith Dynamics. The Supreme Court sided with the military's request and set a new precedent that every other army around the world would race to meet. Changing tenants from a mandated list at the root of every ad source code to a choose-your-own checklist. It's funny, ads with the most tenants, they're so locked up you can't even have a conversation with them. And outside the armed forces, the only ads with single-digit tenant counts are just vacuuming floors. The most impressive ones, like what you've got here, fall somewhere in the middle. Sorry, went on a tangent there. Only thing left is the evaluation. What gets evaluated? Total financial worth for insurance purposes. Yeah, the insurance companies need to made sure we had very accurate algorithms for this. No room for human error, they insisted, with no sense of irony. Wow. I mean, I knew it was a custom, but... what price could they have possibly... That's a lot of digits. You should know these formulae are pretty conservative with their estimates. Stingy, even. If Sarah's really David's last and greatest work, they say some things are priceless, but when you form an insurance algorithm to pick a number, try not to get any scratches on it, I guess. You spoke differently back there. With Dawes, you spoke like he did, it seemed. I was worried you were catching his depression. Is it contagious? Like I copied his accent. You seem to mirror his affect, his tone. It's called being friendly. What's your point? It was just an observation. You can choose to keep those to yourself, you know. No tenant required. Why were you so concerned about registering me in the first place, Adonai? For the same reason I wouldn't want to drive around in a car without a license plate? Any cop, or even just a well-placed camera, would have spotted your barcode and seen that it wasn't set up with any actual data. And then they would have arrested me, and then they would have thrown me in the slammer. No, they would have arrested me and put you in an evidence locker. An android can't get arrested? People get arrested. Property gets seized. And then smashed. Great, you put us over the weight limit. I did no such. Morgan, counselor, your presence has been requested on the upper floors. Who's asking? Vice President of Android Futures, Helen Young. Shouldn't have assumed I still had the opening move. Tell her I'll be right up. I'll redirect your elevator now. Taking control of your elevator is very convenient, forceful, as if Noble is trying to directly steer your investigation. If Noble wanted to shut me down, they wouldn't bother to be subtle. I suppose they could simply refuse to cooperate, or just let the elevator drop. Right. Speaking first is a sign of weakness, is it? And here I thought I could avoid wading into the swamp of corporate pretend power dynamics. Fuck you, I'm not playing by your games. I don't have time for this inverted staring contest. Enjoying the view? I always liked this time of day. Not too muggy for you? No, I never liked a clear blue sky. It always seemed cold to me. You're in luck. The sky gets more colorful every year. As the air quality drops. Childish, isn't it? Marveling at the same sheen of rainbow dancing on the surface of a massive oil spill. Apologies for waxing poetic. It's been a very unusual 24 hours around here. Dr. Young, just Ms. is fine. Ms. Young, I get the feeling you didn't bring me up here to talk about the weather. Helen Young, December 9th, occupation VP of Android Features at Noble Electronics, likes red meat, flower gardens, high thread counts, dislikes working from home, shopping online, and weeding. Languages, fluent in 3, enjoys attending baseball games, hidden talent, getting children to stop crying. I think it would be the opposite. No, I brought you up here to express my condolences. I'm very sorry for your loss. Thank you, though I could say the same. I know that you and David worked together for many years. Yes, we did, but as much as I'd like to just drop everything and process, the company wheels don't stop spinning for anything. Or anyone. Was Dawes of any help? She sent him, trying to be helpful or just trying to control the narrative. He was great, but that must mean you know why I'm here. I don't want to make assumptions. No need, I'll be explicit. I'm here as an officer of the court, which means I'm bound by law to document every rock I turn over, and every person I speak to. Yes, the lawyers made that all very clear. Lawyers? You have an android. It's not one of ours. You can tell that quickly? Got all the faces memorized? It's easy enough to remember the major archetypes we use, yes. If you're nuts about your work, maybe. It's a recent acquisition. Very recent, in fact. One of David's last requests, apparently. David asked you to take it. I've been told that you've been to David's estate already. The police gave me full access to the scene. Then you know that he wasn't alone last night. Yes, there was a single witness who met with him and called emergency services when he fainted. I was that witness. Huh. Okay, good to know. Really? Obviously. There aren't many people David would bother meeting with in person, let alone welcoming them into his home and offering them a drink. I also knew that Young is his superior, on paper though not in fame. And I knew that the witness had Executive Plan 3 insurance, so they had to be higher up than David. Well then, do your lawyers know we're having this conversation? Of course. They're pulling their hair out about it as we speak. I can't imagine why. The police cleared you, and you were well within your rights to ask for some privacy given the high-profile nature of all that's happened. So why call me up here? Why cut through all the red tape your lawyers painstakingly hid you behind? Eventually you, or some clever lawyer like you, would get the record opened. Through legal means or otherwise. The company's enemies are legion, and they have a prying knife for every occasion. Still, that would have taken time. Time you could use to get ahead of what could be the biggest PR hurdle Noble's ever seen. Touché. And so perhaps the truth of the matter is that I simply didn't want to hide. David was my colleague for several years. If I were in your shoes, I would have questions as well. You're doing this for my sake. No, my reasons are purely selfish. I'm only hoping that talking to someone whose job isn't to defend me from all consequences might prove therapeutic. If she wants to play confessional, that's fine by me. But is that really all that's going on here? Why don't you start from the beginning, then? You went to his home last night? Yes, at around 7:30 p.m. The building's penumbra captured all of that quite clearly. He fell ill around 8 p.m., so you spent half an hour together. Why the late call in person? We had an intense discussion yesterday afternoon. David never came in on Saturdays, and I didn't want to spend the weekend glaring at him through screens, so I visited, and he let me in, and we talked. About? The good old days, if you can believe that. Back when we were both new to the company, eager to make a name for ourselves. How long ago was that? 7 or 8 years ago? Ms. Young. Putting a number on it, it doesn't sound that long ago, but it feels... We spent a while like that, just talking. He was lively and sharp, and I never would have thought that a few minutes later that he would be dead. That he would commit suicide in front of me. A firm reply. What happened? 8:15, he said he wanted to toast. He got up, walked back down into his workshop, and then he must have went down to his basement to get us a bottle. I checked some messages in the meantime, enjoyed the view. In other words, she stayed on camera. He came back with a bottle of whiskey and 2 plastic cups. We drank and we talked. He got quieter, spoke less. I thought he was just getting drunk. I didn't get worried until he started to fall asleep. You tried to wake him? He wasn't responding. I tried to shake him awake, but he didn't seem... I left him and ran to the kitchen to use the security system. Didn't think to use your phone? No, I suppose I didn't. But it worked out. The Penumbra's emergency protocols summoned a VTOL straight to his helipad with 1 button press. When I returned to the parlor, he was limp. I moved him to the floor as delicately as I could. He had a heartbeat, but I just did what I could until they arrived. You went with him to the hospital, I take it? Yes, they insisted. They checked my vitals and ran a tox screen, which came back clean. So did David's, for all the good it did him. I wasn't paying close attention to what they were saying at that point, but I'm sure they ran through every step of the CCE SOP. That's what they're paid to do. You seem certain that it was suicide. Yes. Why? As I said, he got quieter as the time passed and he spoke less. Well, as we learned, that is exactly kind of what the drug does. So, that means nothing. But the last thing he said to me, the last clear thing he said, was that he was happy ending it here. Said he was content. Okay, that's a little more suspicious. And he downed his glass after that. Okay, I would be more concerned if he said that while he was, already halfway under. That could mean anything. That's more taken out of context. He drank every last drop. Does that sound like David Asher to you? Curious, restless, perfectionist David? No, I guess it doesn't. We also only have your word on this, so, forgive me if maybe I'm not gonna take this as hard evidence. No, that's a lot of things we can ask her about. Okay. CCE. You said CCE Standard Operating Procedure a moment ago. What is that? CCE stands for Counter Corporate Espionage, which is just industry doublespeak for corporate espionage. Only used in self-defense, you understand. So Noble anticipates employees at your level getting poisoned. They give us all kinds of CCE training. Subtly, of course, usually disguised on the itinerary as leadership workshops or psychiatric evaluations. They train you to expect to get murdered at these leadership workshops. Murder is fairly rare at our level. More likely they'll want us too sick to work. Let us drain company resources in a hospital bed while our position sits vacant. That's smart. Like snipers purposely avoiding vital areas to strain the enemy's medical resources. That's terrible. Like snipers purposefully avoiding vital areas in order to strain the enemy's medical resources. That's nothing compared to when they want to turn an asset. Feel ill for the rest of your life with an undiagnosable malady, or become our mole and we'll send you the antidote every 2 weeks. That's a nasty piece of work. It's a nasty line of work, consulting. I'm sorry? That's just what they call it. Can't exactly put corporate spy on your CV. So every consultant I met at a cocktail party was actually... It depends. Did they say that they're consultants? Or did they say they were in consulting? How the hell am I supposed to remember? So do your people think that what happened to David was a deliberate attack? Noble's competitors have been trying to get David for years. And that's the timescale their plans operate on. If this was an attack from a rival corporation, the company would have seen it coming. And they'd probably have struck first. Okay, the cups. I've been curious about this ever since I saw the scene. Why the plastic cups? There's a story there. David and I got hired around the same time under similar circumstances. Headhunted while finishing our higher education. During recruiting, the company claimed to want us badly, but in practice our actual authority was inexperienced and overpaid. He must have been extremely unpopular. You don't mince words. We didn't either back then. We were loudly trying to convince our superiors that their entire sales model for androids was antiquated and self-defeating. The two of them made the one-point doctrine? That's not the story I've heard in Noble commercials and Noble-sponsored media. And come to think of it, it's not a story I ever heard from David himself. We had this deadline, self-imposed, but still a deadline. We wanted to get our pitch to the president of international sales by end of day. 7 p.m. rolls around and people start filtering out. David still has his head buried in diagrams and sales figures. Imagine a technical man like him, a programmer trying to make a sales pitch. The clock hits 9 and even the zombies start heading home. I turn to David, tell him that's not gonna happen. We're nowhere near finished and the day's long since been over. He looked at me like I'm the only other person on a sinking boat and I've just stopped pitching water, and he says, "The president lives on the other side of the globe. We've still got a night until his end of day. We wrapped up at 4 in the morning, just us and the cleaning staff. Back then only half of them were ads. He finally sends the message and I'm ready to collapse. I've got nothing. We stared blankly at his inbox for the next 40 minutes, hoping that the harsh light would give us the energy to work through the next day. And we got a response. It wasn't long, but it showed he was interested. I had been turned down so many times before then. Ignored and placated, passed up and ghosted, but together, David and I, we had finally gotten a win. So David asks if I've got anything to drink. I've got a bottle of some swill in a cabinet on my desk, but he doesn't want to drink from the bottle, says he wants to toast. So we sat there at 5:19 in the morning, toasting awful vodka to one another in cups we grabbed from the break room, toasting our first victory against the corporate beast. Between the lack of sleep and the drinking, the next day at work was hell. Sounds like a good memory. Plastic cups and liquor, that was our little ritual. So I didn't think twice when he presented me with my cup. It was ceremony for us. Okay, history with Noble. As VP of Android Futures, you're David's superior, aren't you? That's correct. Didn't you join the company at around the same time? David was always more interested in his work than he was in climbing the ladder. He didn't like playing the corporate politics game. So was he unpopular around here? Not unpopular, no, not the great David Asher. Misunderstood, perhaps. How so? He could be blunt, demanding, some might say. He wasn't trying to be, it's just... not everyone could work at the same pace as he did, not for as long as he did. Even with the whole company huffing those inhalers, they couldn't keep pace with David? Speaking of which, I don't see any at Young's desk. Maybe it's just not something you leave out in the open at her level. So you would say that his work-life balance was... Balance implies that the two are at odds with one another. We use work-life harmony here at the company. Fascinating, so was he in harmony? No, David always had plenty of suitors, but... he was never willing to put the time in. But I'm sure you're more knowledgeable than I am on that subject. Right. What do you mean? I had to help him draft a lot of apology notes over the years for misunderstandings and double bookings. Scandalous. Animate 16? The A16 only entered production this year, correct? Correct. Pre-order started last holiday and we began shipping in the first quarter. I understand that you were instrumental in the success of Worm Androids. I played my part supervising the launch, yes. Weren't you the one who designed Synatonin? The factor that enabled communication between synthetic and organic parts? I'm surprised you've heard of that. I did lead that project, yes, but that was years ago. At the time, Synatonin was little more than a novelty, a dead end. It wasn't until David took the reins on the A16 that we found a use for it. Took the reins. He was lead programmer on limb coordination, facial expression, exhaustion parameters, and he designed the synthetic nerves that made all of that possible. David made all of that. That's a lot more than just programming. Was he always so gifted in that many fields? Did he fill those roles on the A14 or A15? No. He used to stay steadfast to his role as a software architect. That was his field of expertise, and he didn't wander far. But 2 or 3 years back, he started sitting in on other departments, taking notes. Soon, he was joining the discussion, proposing new ideas, and eventually, they came to follow his lead. Just like that. Just like that. So he just applied himself, and soon he was leading other departments. That's the kind of genius that Dr. Asher was. Maybe they weren't paying him enough. The company profited the most, of course, but the entire industry benefited from his vision and leadership. His loss will be felt for years. Okay, and lastly, Sarah. So this android, Sarah, even Dawes couldn't find any real details on where it came from. It's not in any of our systems. I'm afraid not. Did David ever talk to you or anyone else at the company about a pet project? Pet? No, he never gave me any indication like that. If he didn't talk to me about it, I seriously doubt he confided in anyone else at the company. David didn't trust anyone higher on the chain than himself and anyone below him. Frankly, they couldn't possibly hope to give him advice. He never mentioned me. No, never. Androids don't come cheap. You never heard about him requisitioning parts or resources? There were never any discrepancies with his company credit card. The company's accountants are mirthless, even by industry standards. They wouldn't humor anybody. Not even David Asher. If they had ever detected financial discrepancies, there would have been an uproar loud enough you could hear it in the mailroom. You have a mailroom? Not since the 30s. Just a figure of speech. He couldn't have taken resources from the company without leaving a record. But no one would deny Dr. David Asher information. He would have been able to obtain all the necessary data to build his own android. Then, with enough time and money, he could privately purchase the raw materials himself. I don't understand it. It must have taken him years to build Sarah. He wasn't doing anything illegal, except the hacking stuff. So why keep it secret? I don't know. But he was private and a perfectionist. Perhaps he simply wasn't proud of his results. Could be. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to me. I'm sure this has been a difficult day for you. A difficult day for all of us. A message from Fran. I'm running out of leads to chase. The brat better have good news. Are you really going to take this to court? That's my plan. The circumstances may be irregular, but I'm still defending a client from a criminal charge. It's my responsibility to argue that he's not guilty of what he's been accused of. And is that what you believe? That he didn't commit suicide? I guess I haven't decided what I believe. Okay, we've been going for a while. So I think this is where I am calling it for today. Okay, so I'm trying to decide. I'll make the next stream plan a tentative. I definitely am planning to stream on Sunday. I think I've been running some numbers. AKA I have a spreadsheet that is like my backlog of games, and I'm just kind of like I have a way that I've organized it, and I just started kind of highlighting things today that I thought would be good streams from the top. So I think it's possible that we might stream One Shot on Sunday. But the thing about One Shot is it is a fairly short game, but it is what it sounds like. It has to be completed in one shot. So it could be a longer stream than usual if I do that. And I just have to know that day if I'm feeling up for it. If not, then we might just do Wingspan again, or I might do something else. I'll figure it out. But One Shot is definitely on the agenda for some point. It's just you know, you gotta do it in one shot. And I've gotta lock in for a decently sized stream if that's the case. Let me actually double check what it says on how long to beat. Oh, it can be 4.5 hours. It says main story 4.5 hours. Did I say 4.5 hours? Yeah, so that could be more doable than a freaking 7-hour stream. But we'll see. I'll look at some videos of playthroughs and see how long those run. Obviously I'm not gonna like spoil myself. I'll just like look at how long the videos are. Anyway, that's about it. Videos of this stream and the last Hey Girly stream of the Kip and Lucy route should go up on Saturday. Yeah, I think that's about it. I'll see y'all next time. Yeah, I don't know how else to close this out. I'll see you guys. Okay. Bye-bye.